A shared occurrence between the manga written by Atsushi Okubo, specifically Fire Force and Soul Eater, is the presence of incredibly broken abilities that transcend anyone and anything else in the series, and I happen to find exploring these abilities very interesting. Today we're taking a look at the 10 most powerful abilities in Soul Eater in my opinion. Before we start, I'd like to say that while I do kind of pride myself on being somewhat of a Soul Eater encyclopedia, I'm not all the way there yet, so if there's an ability missing that you think deserves to be here, I probably just forgot about it. With that being said, let's begin. For the unaware, the Strong Soul is an ability that originates from the Fire Force era of the timeline. After ignition abilities were taken away, those with strong souls were given powers that exceed their former abilities in strength. After the unspecified amount of time between the end of Fire Force and the beginning of Soul Eater, the only remnants of the Strong Souls lies in Sword God Mifune. The Strong Soul does nothing but enhance one's physical capabilities to a frankly ridiculous degree. Mifune is not a Meister. In fact, he has no Meister abilities. He can't see or perceive souls or utilize his own soul, and yet he's able to go toe to toe with not only Sid, one of the DWMA's strongest while wielding a death scythe, but also Blackstar after mastering the Uncanny Sword, barely losing their final fight. Genius Meister is basically Strong Soul but exclusive to Stein instead of Mifune. This ability is a large part of what makes Stein the strongest Meister until post-time skip when Blackstar takes his title. Stein is one of the only characters to have access to both the Soul Perception and Soul Menace techniques. On top of this, he's able to adjust his Soul Wavelength to any weapon and use them effectively as soon as he starts wielding them. Even after the insane amount of power creep that happens near the end of Soul Eater, Stein is still able to stand his ground thanks to the pure amount of versatility that Genius Meister provides him. Reaper Physiology is like the last two entries but exclusive to the three Grim Reapers, Death, Kid, and Asura. The natural benefits of being a Reaper are incredible. Reapers have a complete and total immunity to all ailments, poisons, cosmetics, and even the effects of the magnetic storm on the Lost Island. Physically, Reapers are naturally superior to pretty much everyone else, having enhanced strength, speed, endurance, durability, and even regeneration. And when a Reaper reaches their most mature state, the true Death God form, they are also granted complete immortality. First introduced in the Salvage arc, the Madness of Power Wavelength has the ability to fully unleash the potential of those under its influence at the cost of their sanity. After being affected by it, both Blackstar and Kid learn the Madness Takehold ability, which utilizes the Madness of Power Wavelength to access their utmost potential at will. This still comes at the cost of their sanity, however, but only if they stay in the transformation for too long. This ability made Blackstar and Kid capable of taking on and winning against Noah's forces at the end of the Salvage arc, and enabled Kid to stand his own ground against the clowns on the moon. Soul's Piano is one of the most powerful abilities due to its ridiculous amount of versatility. Even in the earlier stages of the series, Soul was able to spread the enhancing effects of Black Blood to Blackstar and Kid without actually affecting them with it to fight against Mosquito. After becoming a Death Scythe, Soul's Piano becomes able to share the effects of Maka's AntiDemon Wavelength to their teammates, and even greatly enhance the range of Maka's Soul Perception up to a planetary scale, and even take control of objects used by his enemies with the Soul Hack technique. In addition to this, Soul's Piano was also used to give Maka a full blast of Black Blood, which enabled her to don the Black Blood armor and use Kishin Hunt. Even when not being wielded by Maka, Soul can manifest his piano onto his blade, which gives him the ability to fire off powerful sound waves. Out of every ability before and after this entry on the list, I would say Black Blood is definitely the most versatile. Having Black Blood gives you a number of enhancements that are frankly ridiculous when utilized correctly. People who have Black Blood typically have greatly enhanced strength, speed, durability, endurance, and regeneration at the cost of their sanity, as well as the ability to use their blood as a weapon in some cases. Later on, as black blood becomes able to be controlled, we are introduced to techniques like the black blood dress, the black blood armor, and even Kishin Hunt. Krona, being the most proficient user of black blood, was even able to encapsulate an entire town in an impenetrable bubble made of black blood and kill its residents. It's one of the few abilities that's introduced at the beginning of the series and stays extremely relevant through the entirety of the story. The AntiDemon Wavelength is a soft counter to a good number of abilities on this list. The AntiDemon Wavelength is a rare ability only held by Maka and Sarpushkar that rejects all forms of madness and evil for the user. This includes the madness of fear, the madness-inducing effects of black blood or just purging black blood from the user's body, and pretty much all of Arachne's moveset. This neutralization can also be spread to allies and is capable of completely negating the negative effects of the Madness Takehold transformation, and even dispel the Kishin's madness illusion with just a touch or through Soul's piano. It's so effective that both Blackstar and Kid, two characters that are stronger than Maka, have noted that fighting without access to Maka's AntiDemon Wavelength would be near impossible. The Madness of Fear Wavelength, most notably used by Asura, has the ability to cause people to go insane, awaken long inactive evils like Arachne, give birth to evil entities such as the clowns, and cause natural disasters on a worldwide scale. It can even enhance the inner evil inside a person like it did with Stein, and cause them to receive a massive boost in power at the cost of their sanity. The Madness of Fear also has the ability to trap anyone under its influence in illusions that can cause them to end their own life without knowing it. Usually an ability as restrictive as Parent 7 Arrays wouldn't make it this high on the list. Parent 7 Arrays is a one-time use technique belonging to Death the Kid that requires an absolutely ridiculous amount of setup that includes 2 lines of Sanzu, Soul Resonance, the Madness Takehold transformation, a portion of Death's Soul Wavelength, and an entirely separate charging sequence. However, this ability is a guaranteed instant kill to whoever it hits. That's it. It's a one-time use technique because it has to be, and is still the strongest singular attack ever used in Soul Eater. Before we get to number 1, we have some honorable mentions that I'm not going to delve too deep into. Blackstar's intrinsic ability to do whatever he wants, including floating and photokinesis. Tsubaki as a whole, being 7 different weapons with the power to control shadows, is insane. Tezcatlipoca's ability to escape death by moving his soul into a mirror. Kishin Hunt. It's the second strongest attack in the series, and the only technique capable of doing real damage to Asura. The only reason it's here is because it's pretty much effective against only Asura. And finally, Excalibur. Self-explanatory. The Madness of Order Wavelength is an ability held by Lord Death and Death the Kid in his true Death God form. The power that this wavelength holds is the ability to strip everyone on the planet of all of their emotions and only leaves behind the natural cycle of life and death. It is the ultimate counter to the Madness of Fear. It is the ultimate power that is held by the gods that goes completely unused out of faith in humanity. It trumps everything and everyone no matter what. In conclusion, Soul Eater is broken. If you want to see a Fire Force version of this video, which I am completely willing to do, leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. That's it for this one.
Lately I'm feeling so cool. Yeah. Come and get a taste of the hip soul food. Spice up the animal with neo haiku. While soul goes to school, way / kung fu.